inviting you to join my co-host and I, Pastor Shannon E. Jones, each Tuesday, right here on Straight Talk from 7 p.m. until 8 p.m. And if you'd like to call in and join the discussion, you can call 470-251-0349. That's 470-251-0349. And if you'd like to be a guest on the program, we'd love to have you. You can email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalk1362@gmail.com. It's Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Pastor Shannon E. Jones.
Hey, this is Derek Bozeman, and I always watch Straight Talk with Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Shannon E. Jones. If you want to know what's going on in Atlanta and in the world, tune in and turn up.
Now tune in to Straight Talk Live with Greg Fann, where you are invited to have open discussions of topics ranging from social, political, economics, religious, or just open dialogue. So now, let's get to talking with Greg Fann.
Welcome again to another edition of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Shannon E. Jones. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in and share with your Facebook friend. Won't you? Listen, what we're asking you to do is to email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Straight Talk. Or you can call 44308-0795 if you'd like to be a guest. This program is going to be on fire today. We have David Daniel, the former fire chief for the Fulton County, who's an inspirational speaker and a very inspirational person. You're going to like this conversation today. It's going to be a great one. Hey, share it with your Facebook friends right here on Straight Talk. Listen, and we're going to be dealing with social justice, social economic problems, problems with religious issues, all kinds of issues. You name it, we'll claim it. Stay tuned. Don't you go nowhere. We're going to have my good friend and co-host, Shannon E. Jones, is going to join me in just a minute. So share it, and don't you dare touch that dial. Well, muchachos, señorita Miguel, Jose Juan, Michelle, Juanisha. I didn't know you was back there. Oh, you all. Thank you so much for being a part of Straight Talk today. And I got Shannon here with me. Muchacho. I got Shannon here with me. Today's program is going to be very exciting. I talked we got David Daniels coming a little later on. He's going to be on, and we'll be talking to him. But today I want to kind of make an apology. I got to make this apology. Mm-hmm. I mean, I really do. Because, you guys are emailing us as we've asked you to do, and you are calling us, and we ask you to continue to email and call us. And I got a check. I was checked by an individual. I won't call his name. Mm-hmm. But he checked me, and he said to me is that I made a statement that about preachers in terms of preachers not standing up and living up to this and living up to what they ought to be about. And he said that to me that's not accurate because, some preachers may not, but not all. And they're never all in anything, okay? No, and I stand to be corrected, and thank you so much and I'll tell you who it was, Pastor Frank Brown. I thank you so much, Frank, for just correcting. That's my fellow Pittsburgh friend for the correction. Oh, God. Thank you so much, Frank, for the correction. God. And we accept correction. And I love Frank, too. I love him, but we don't talk about it. Put your hand off the zone, will you please? But I want to publicly say that I was in error because there's no all in anything. But there are some who are guilty of what I said, and I stand by that. But I'm in error, including everyone, because not everyone is the same way. And I want to thank you for that's what they call it. And
Pastor Brown is a faithful watcher.
He is.
Of Straight Talk, and just a good friend. And we were in an office together at Ebenezer.
Okay.
About the size of where we are right now. And he would correct me all day, every day.
So he checked you too.
Oh, he's Reverend Brown is the corrector. But just a great friend. Everybody else wouldn't even care to say that, but that comes from a genuine space.
It does.
Of him saying, I love you too much to not say to you, you might want to correct this.
Right. Well, I appreciate that.
I'm going to get you a new mug too.
I really appreciate that.
And I'm going to get you one too, Frank. And a new team. We're going to get this thing together. We can get the owner off the flip off the, if he can stay in the. But that's a whole other thing.
Listen. Now, I want to say this to you. Still a fan will agree with me with this. Still a fan will.
God.
And it has nothing to do with any other team other than the Steelers team. See, the problem is, you need to listen. See, that's the problem right now. No,
I'm in the choir behind you.
No, we don't need no choir.
I'm in the choir.
I'm in the choir behind you. You be saying amen. See, you're a preacher, so you'll be amen in the truth. That's what you're doing. Say something. I'm saying you just ain't listening. Just like a lot of y'all in the church. Just let me But this is what a lot of people who are non-Steelers fans who are haters, they'll understand this. The Steelers organization, it's the organization.
Oh, God.
It's the organization. The Steelers have been in the hunt, in the playoff forever. It's because the organization, whether they make it to the Super Bowl or play in the Super Bowl, they're always in the hunt. Because they have an organization that is built around a strong defense, all the way back to Mean Joe Green. And I'm telling you that the defense of Pittsburgh is solid, and it continues to be solid. That's why they always are in the hunt. The offense team is good too. They have a good offensive program, but Pittsburgh is built around a strong defensive team. If you can't score on them, you can't win. If you can't score on them, you're not going to win. And they have a strong defense. Offense, you want to have a strong offense, but you want to have a heck of a defense when you're playing football or any sports. You want to have a strong defense. So that's the Steelers' legacy. That's why the Steelers continue to be in the hunt, always going to be in the playoff, always have been in the playoff. And hats off to Mike Tomlin for doing a stellar job. They are now 9-0. He has set a record to be the most winningest coach with no losses on the Pittsburgh Steelers team. So hats off to Mike Tomlin.
And I want to thank you, Greg Gumbel, for that illustrious filibuster or whatever it was. We started talking about a mud. What the hell did we have to go into all this? About the Falcons also on the hunt. We're on the hunt too. We're on the hunt to win. We're on the hunt for a new defense. We're on the hunt for a new quarterback. We're also on the hunt. Y'all went to school at the Swans. We're on the hunt for an organization. And we go all the way back to our position. We've been on the hunt for the process a long time. But they don't get out there together. I'm sorry about anything about your preacher. I say something about the flowers. I say something about the flowers. I'm talking about the FTD. Preach. Listen. You're right about the fact that amen here. I told the truth. Yeah, you still did. Yeah, you still put me on the payroll for the Steelers. You have to put me on the payroll. You have to put me on the payroll. The Steelers. God. The Steelers. Organization. They go all the way back to Absolutely. You have Howard Minnesota. You're right. Because I ain't dying. You ain't dying. The truth is the truth. One day you'll accept the truth. So you'll accept the truth. You be saying, I say the lie. I see the lie. You all said you're a bunch of moves. Somebody just come on, send an email, call in. Listen, I want to just change the subject, and I'm always excited about the Steelers. That's Steelers. Man, Frank Brown, great fan. Steelers. Oh, and Harold Hartnett, Steelers. Oh, I just got to get you in that too, Harold. Steelers. But anyway, hey, look, I want to change subject a little bit.
thing that's going on with the pandemic and everything, and the health professionals and all the work that they do, I want to honor them today. We want to honor them for their service, the dedication, the health workers, the dedication that they're putting forward to save lives, the doctors, the nurses, the receptionists, the people who draw blood, the people who clean up and housekeeping, the security people, those people who work in doctors' offices, who help make sure that people stay healthy, not just from this pandemic, but serious, all kinds of people got diabetes, people got high blood pressure, people suffering with asthma, a whole lot of other conditions. But I want to just thank the health professionals for what they're doing at this time to help save and maintain good quality of life for a lot of people, a lot of us, those of us who are aging, and some who are not aging, but who were born with certain conditions, but yet they're there to make sure that lives are preserved. And Shannon, we were just talking earlier off the air a little bit about the gentleman who was found after being lost out there for hiking, and they thought he was dead. And for 48 hours, 48 minutes or 45 minutes, they kept doing CPR and for 45 minutes to bring him back to life. And he was talking about how grateful he was to the doctors and the nurses, those people who kept helping through a CPR to make sure that he was going to come back, and he came back, and he was forever grateful. See, it's those kind of stories that people are not talking about. We talk politics. Politics is what it is, and it's going to be what it is. But we today want to talk about some things that are beneficial in terms of human interest, because we don't give honor what honor is due, because those people who are doing this at this pandemic, and they're making these sacrifices with their family members, and working long hours, I mean, just giving it all and all for making sure that people are maintained and people are safe and people are healthy. It means so much. And I wanted to tell that story. There was another story, Shannon, you were telling earlier that took place at the CDC.
Concerned Black Clergy virtual forum we had on life. We had an organization called Lifelink, which deals with organ donation. And talking about African Americans and organ donation, there was a brother on named Tony Larkins, I believe his name was, and it received a heart. And one day it began to start giving out on him, and his son got him, rushed him to the hospital. They brought a crash cart, got him right out of the car, worked on him for 45, almost 50 minutes, worked on him, just like this gentleman up in the mountains. For about 50 minutes they worked on him, and the doctors kept looking back and at the son said, "Don't give up on my father." I didn't know they worked on you that long, but apparently they do, and the doctor said that he's alive today. Tony Larkins is alive today because the son gave them the permission. But the doctors and the medical team had the will within them to see the gift of life continue in this man. And so, as we think about COVID, and you've got, a whole faction of people saying, "Oh, it's nothing, it's just like the flu." I was in a restaurant, a butcher's shop the other day, and a young lady was unfortunately just ignorant. She didn't know. She didn't have a mask on. I didn't buy nothing in there either, but I turned and walked out. But she was saying that it's just, it's just the flu. It's nothing but the flu. And it's not the flu. This is a real pandemic. It is. We've had the flu for years. COVID is serious. And every day these medical workers willfully, like firemen going into a burning building, they willfully go in every day to save lives. And that is an awesome, awesome thing. And the question becomes, people say, well, that's their job to do that. Michael Jordan would play basketball if you didn't pay him. Tiger Woods would be on a golf course if you didn't do it. When you watch someone study, all the hours they got to study to be a nurse, or a doctor, a technician, all that, it's beyond just your work, man. It's a heart for people, a heart to see people healthy and see people alive. And so we just honor those people who have a heart to continue the gift of life. And in many cases, to give dignity to the end of life and to extend a place of hospitality. People in hospitals talking to their family, dying on the phone, and nurses have to be family to them. Doctors and technicians have to be family. So we shouldn't belittle the work that they do, and we should honor them as Bishop is leading us to do.
And I just really, when you say that in terms of segue, is the people who work in the hospice care. That has to be one of the most challenging jobs it is, working in hospice, because hospice, you know the people are dying. You establish a relationship with them, and you may leave today, come back tomorrow, they're gone. You may be dealing with the issue of getting in your car and just leave and get a call that says so and so is passed, because you do establish a relationship with people, and their family members. So it's so much, and we've done funerals where people who cared for individuals, whether it was home care, and then you have people do it in their home, they see about people, they show up at the funeral because they become as a part of the family. So we have to honor those people, because those people, they give a lot, they do a lot to make sure that, that not only that the person who is there and being treated, but the family members have some sense of confidence that they're really there taking care of their parents or their family members,
That they're going to be all right.
They're going to be all right. So we honor you today. We honor you today.
Absolutely.
And give kudos to you for the work that you do, no matter what you do in healthcare. Whether you are nurses at a health facility and giving shots to kids or dialysis. It doesn't make any difference what you're doing in the health profession. It doesn't matter. We appreciate you because of what you do. It helps us to be healthy.
Can I shout out somebody?
Sure.
So I got a young member in my congregation, Brittany Anderson, who is an EMT. And we talked one day, and she gets up and she puts in 12, 15 hours, sometimes in overtime, because a lot of people are getting sick. They've been exposed, so they can't go in. So these workers have to do double shifts sometimes, or extended shifts to be able to do that. But Brittany called me one day and just says, sometimes it just you get a little fear that you have to fight with dealing with, a little anxiety. But I just want to salute her, because she gets up every day, single mama, with little Nasir, little 3-year-old, 4-year. I think Nasir is 4 now, or is he 5? But she gets up every day and gets on the front line. So those EMT workers as well, all of you, I think that's what Bishop is saying. Anybody, if you do anything in medical, if you're a candy striper, if you are the receptionist at the hospital, all those people that are in the medical system, that are fighting for and working for the dignity of life, we give you thanks.
Yeah, and that's firefighters too, because many times the first person on the scene is that firefighter that comes there as an EMS. That's in fire service, that come there to attend to somebody, to get them to some help, to the ambulance coming, the ambulance driver. I mean, all of those people are so important, and we just gotta honor them. And this is just not. Now I want to be clear on this. This is not just because of the pandemic. This is not just because of the pandemic. It's because of the nature of the work that they do on a regular basis, regardless, unselfishly doing it. They do it because they care. They do it because they care. And I just want to, and Shannon, other thing I want to do is I want to honor those teachers. I want to honor teachers, because we don't know the strain that's on teachers at this time. We don't know the anxiety that they have. We don't know the bus drivers. We don't know, the cafeteria workers who are now being asked to do other duties other than what they normally do, to make sure that children are taken care of and families are taken care of. These things that we're talking about today are very, very important, because we need to tell people we thank you. We appreciate you. We see you. We see what you're doing, and we appreciate the sacrifices that you are making. You're not doing it for money, though we all need money to pay our bills and what have you, but you're going that extra mile, and you're being dedicated.
Yeah.
Some of you complaining, some of you don't like it, but like I said, some and everything.
And you got a right to complain. It's rough.
It's rough out here.
It's rough.
But the reality of it is thank you so very much. I was waiting on you to do that.
I'll put it back for you.
Thank you. I was waiting on you to do that.
I want you to look at it. I was waiting. If you looked at it and give me some
I was waiting on him to do that. I was waiting on him to do that. But we want to thank the teachers. Honestly, we do. We really, really do. It's a hard job, and the principal at Westlake, who passed, Dr. Robinson, him and his wife, who the kids love and they revere. We want to just send this program out to him and to his family, and express our condolences and for his dedication to education and educating young minds.
Yes, sir.
We want to send this program out to him today, and to all teachers, all educators. We want to send this program out to you. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for the work that you are doing, and thank those of you who have retired.
Custodians at the school, and the nurses at the school.
All of them. But I want to thank the teachers who have retired, because especially those teachers who taught him. Thank you, because I know he was a hard-headed kid, but you brought him through. Thank you. And if it weren't for you and his daddy, he wouldn't be here today. Thank you.
Teachers used to beat you.
Yeah.
They would fail you and beat you. Yeah, my teachers did.
They did?
My teachers beat me.
They did?
They beat me.
Yeah,
they beat me.
It was a good thing you didn't come through when I came through.
What did they do to you?
Let me tell you this story. This is a true story. This is a true story. When I went to...
You're about to say that to get yourself in trouble.
No.
Frank can't correct, but so much.
Hey, Frank, your friend will have to correct this one. This is a true story. When I was in the 8th grade at Washington High, Mr. Cleveland, who's now deceased.
Washington?
Yeah, Mr. Cleveland is now deceased. And he was my physical science teacher. And so the first day of school, when we sit in class, this young 8th grader, he said to the class, he said, if you do this, if you do that, it's going to cost you 3. If you do this, it's going to cost you 2. If you do this, it's going to cost you 1. So I had a friend of mine, his name was Grady Griggs, and Grady was so silly. He was really silly. We came from elementary school to high school, and we was in class. And Grady was in there telling jokes, and in the class. And I started laughing, right? So Mr. Cleveland said, Mr. Fann, Mr. Griggs, that's going to cost you 3. I was like, man, I don't care. He can have them 3 points. I don't care about no 3 points. He said, come in, Mr. Fann, come in, Mr. Griggs. And so we went back in the back room with that. He had this paddle. Bend it over. Wow, 3. Wow, 3. I didn't want to get no 3s. I didn't want no 1, no 3. That's a great deal. I said, you got to sit someplace else, man, because I can't handle these 3. But teachers at that time, they loved you. They made sure you were educated. They cared about you. And we respected our teachers. And I think the teachers today don't get the kind of respect that they deserve from parents as well as students. But it goes back to something we said earlier, that when parents become their kids' friends versus being their parents, see, our mother and father would never go to a school and berate a teacher in front of us.
As your advocate.
No, they would not. They would talk to the teachers away from us. They would handle it, and they wouldn't let us handle it. They would handle it. But now it's a whole different story. But we want to honor our teachers, our educators. We want to honor those people in the health profession today. We want to give you honor today for the work that you do. And especially I want to do a shout out to one of the greatest union leaders that I know that's in education, Verdelia Turner. And Verdelia has been a mainstay stellar fighting for education and for teachers and for workers' rights. And I want to give her a shout out today. Thank you so very much. But Shannon, we're going to come back with more right here on Straight Talk. And we're going to have Shannon. He's going to do a segment called what? throw them in the trash can. We'll be back with Shannon and throw them in the trash can. I know you're excited to hear Shannon throw more in the trash can, but brothers and sisters, before he throw them in the trash can, we had to bring on Chief I. David Daniels, who's going to be talking about his career as a firefighter and the former chief of Fulton County, as well as an inspirational speaker. You don't want to miss this interview with Chief I. David Daniels. Don't you dare touch that dial. Hi, Greg Fann here today with former chief of Fulton County, I. David Daniel, who has been in fire service for a long time. And I just want to talk to David about fire service and his commitment and why he got involved in fire service in the first place. David, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, Bishop. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. But you know, was your dad, was your uncle, was your granddad, was anybody in your family in the fire department?
No. I got in the Seattle Fire Department. That's where I started.
Okay.
I got in.
How old were you then?
So I was, as a matter of fact, I got a call the day before my 21st birthday.
Okay.
And they asked me did I want to be a Seattle firefighter. I'd taken the test about a year earlier.
Okay.
And actually at the time was working in a grocery store, stocking groceries from 9 to 5 in the morning. I would go home, take a nap, get up and catch the bus cross town, this is in Seattle, to go wash dishes at Sandpoint Naval Base from 12 to 6. Get back on the bus, ride across town. So only the night job was 3 nights a week, the other one was 5 days a week. And that's what I did. Okay. And they called me and said, hey, you want to be a Seattle firefighter? That was on a Friday. I'll never forget on a Friday. And they said, well, you got to start next Wednesday. I go, okay. So I went in on Saturday and quit both my jobs and said, I'm going to go be a firefighter. Now, had I had any idea what the fire service was really all about, I never would have done that. But I was too stupid to know the difference. And so I did. I quit and started that following Wednesday. And so part of the reason that I got in is, so the fire service in the United States is the second or third least diverse publicly funded thing that we do. Number one is secondary school teachers. And emergency medical services is in the top 3 as well. But most firefighters in the United States are white and are male. That's just the way it is. Right. And it's been that way forever, and it's still that way even today. And so had I known that, I might have been, ignorance is kind of bliss. I didn't know that. So I took a chance and, got into this recruit class with 32 people, and 28 of us finished, and kind of the rest is history. So you got into it because you had an opportunity, but most people say that most people that are in fire service, their family is in it. Is your son in it? No.
Your son is with
it? No.
Okay.
None of my family, nobody. It was quite by accident. Now, another part of the story is I had a friend, I worked construction a couple of years before I took the fire chief job, or the firefighter job. Right. And we were out on a construction site, and he said, I'm thinking about taking that test to become a firefighter. I go, he said, you want to go? I go, okay. So I went to take the test with someone. I actually passed the test and he didn't. And it was total act. I didn't know anything about it. I'd never met a black firefighter in my life. Never. I had no idea what the job was. But what I did think is I didn't think they got laid off. I thought there was job security in it. And doing construction in Seattle, you work for a while, and then you go back to the union hall, get assigned another job, and you go back and forth back. So you could be off for a few weeks or a month at a time. And you always kind of bounce around from place to place. And I thought it would be stable. Little did I know stability wasn't what I thought it was going to be, because I still moved around a lot. Right. But it was ultimately the grace of God, because that decision changed the trajectory of my life and my kids' lives and everybody, because it allowed me to do a lot of things I never would have had the opportunity, including coming to Atlanta. Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about your career in terms of being a firefighter. You started off not traditionally in terms of your family and what have you, but you got into fire service and you started in Seattle.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about where you've been and how did you move from being a stock clerk and a dishwasher all the way up to being the fire chief of Fulton County and other departments.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So, as I have more birthdays, I start to process some stuff, and I shared while we were off air that I now live at my 36th address. Mm-hmm. But most of those addresses, I had 12 of them, or 12 or 13 before I graduated high school. And so moving around was just what we did. And it's not because we were in the military. I was born when my mom was 14 years old. I'm the eldest of 7 kids. And come to find out, as I get older, we probably couldn't afford to live where we were living. That's why we were moving. We were moving every couple, 2 or 3 years. But when you're a kid, you think that's just what happens. So we moved around a bit, and so when I got into fire service, I found myself actually doing the same thing. And I don't really know why, but it kind of followed me. So I was at my first fire station. They put me there. They actually put me down in the basement. And they said that, well, that's where we put the recruits. Well, that was a kind of a form of social isolation that they did. Mm-hmm. That, I was the only black person at the fire station. On my shift, I should say. And that's a form of social isolation. They put you down in the basement, and I have to talk to you and hang out with you. But when I got down there, I was studying because I had to, pass these tests so I could finish probation. And after being down there, they said after 6 months you could come out, and I didn't want to come out because I didn't really like them. I didn't really like them because so I just stayed down there. I spent most of my time in the basement reading, studying, and trying to learn how to do a better job. And the other thing they told me is, well, if you ever want to be something, you got to go to a busier station. So I go, okay. So I started putting these letters in to go to busier stations. And eventually they sent me to one. And when I got there, I actually ran into somebody who was able to, he was actually one of my instructors in recruit school and became a mentor to me, and he helped me. So I said I'm the eldest of 7 kids, and, but I've never met my dad. Never. Whether he's alive or dead today, I don't know. And so I didn't have a lot of male role models in my life. I tell people I kind of had to raise myself as far as that. So I'm sure there's some things I did that, people said should have been done a different way. That's what I knew, so I did it.
Right.
And I had to go ask my mom about stuff. I didn't have, so no uncles, no none of that. Just a bunch of women around. So Angelo Duggins, he's now a retired deputy fire chief in Seattle. He took the time out to he was like my big brother. He showed me how to do my first promotional exam because I always wanted to get promoted. I thought because it looked like it would be fun. It looked like it would be, something that I could do. And I noticed how when, those chiefs would walk in the room, they had the white shirts on and people would salute and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. I had no idea what that job was either, but I thought, I could probably do that. And so when I was in recruit school, my goal was to be a battalion chief. That was it. The stuff in between was just superfluous. I didn't want to be a battalion chief because they wear white shirts and they got to drive around in a car. So it looked cool. So again, I didn't really know what it would entail, but it looked cool. So I dived into it. And the moving around, I thought it kind of suited me because I wanted to learn more stuff. So I could go to the station, I learned, and then I want to go someplace. Where else can I go? So I found myself moving around from place to place. Now what I didn't know is part of the reason I was being moved around is I was a guy they knew, hey, move Daniels, he won't complain. So I did. They moved me over here, so I could be here for 8 months, and here for a year, and here for 2 years, 3 years over there, and a year over here, and a year over there. But I was learning stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you stop learning, you die.
Right.
So I just wanted to learn stuff. So in the 20 years I was in the Seattle Fire Department, that's a terrible thing is to have your phone ring while you're...
That's all right. This straight talk. So this straight talk. Everything has to go straight talk. can all leave the camera on Straight Talk. Come a little bit closer this way. Yeah, there you go.
So I worked in 28 different spots in 20 years.
Right.
There is not much of anything about the fire department I didn't know a little bit of something about. Now, I didn't say I was an expert at all of it.
Right, right.
I probably wasn't an expert at most of it.
Right.
But you move around enough and you see enough, you go like, and you just start to connect the dots.
Right.
And the other thing I would say about all that moving around is it gave me not only the confidence to be able to do a lot of stuff, but it also helped me realize I want to know even more, because I moved around all that, all those different stations and all those different positions, and I still found like, but how does that work? And so I started to figure out that all these people who were telling me they were so smart, I didn't believe them, because they only worked in 3 spots, and they said they knew everything. I go like, I'm not sure how that works. You do 3 things, you know everything. I've done 25, I don't know as much as you. So that's kind of my view, is that none of us knows everything.
Right, nobody.
We're always seeking to, should be seeking to learn a little bit more.
Right.
And so I just kind of moved around a lot and figured out a lot of things. There is not much about the American Fire Service I don't know a little bit about. Like I said, I'm not an expert at all of it, but if you touch enough of it, you start finding out, oh, that's just like this, and that's just like this. Oh, that's just like this. Now there's something else out there, but a lot of this stuff is really connected, And so I got to the point to where I felt that my growth in Seattle I'd gone about as far as I was going to go. So I was the 4th youngest to make battalion chief. I was the youngest person to become a deputy assistant chief in the history of the city. That's what people told me. And that's what the reason. Now there might be somebody else, but I just don't know who they are.
Right.
And on top of all that, I was black. And the 2 of them created challenges for me there, because the people had been around. So in Seattle, until you've done 40 years, you don't know nothing. But I don't believe that tenure and competence are synonymous. They're not the same thing.
Right.
Because you've been around 40 years doesn't mean you necessarily know everything. And sometimes what I find is you get people, instead of learning more, they just do the same thing and get better at it.
Right. Or worse at it.
Or worse. Or worse. Because they keep doing the same thing.
Right.
And then they wonder why they don't get a different kind of outcome. And so that moving around really helped, and that really was a springboard for, me looking for a place to become fire chief. And that's how the Fulton County started.
Okay. So let me, in watching this program, we got kids watching this program too.
Sure.
Well, how would you encourage? I got a neighbor that lives right in the back there. He's a little white kid,
right.
And his dad and mom, the fire station, right around the corner, right? So his dad and mom, they take him around to the fire station. They bought him. He has his boots, he has his coat, he has his hat. They even bought him a little fire truck, so he drives a little truck out here in the parking lot. And every day he goes around to the fire station.
Right.
So, I said, this kid's going to be a fireman. They said, well, hopefully that's what the people at the station are saying, that he's going to be a fireman, right? But what would you say to a kid that, like yourself, that did not, no parents, involved in fire service. What would you say to a kid about this as a profession, especially in light of 9/11, in light of the kinds of things that firefighters do? Because I think people only look at firefighters as sleeping in the station and going out putting out a fire every now and then. But it's more to it than that.
So the first thing I would say is, don't believe what you see on TV about what firefighters do. Don't even believe it, because that's not at all what firefighters do. Statistically, last I checked, only about 4% of what firefighters do is go to fires. 4%, that's it. What the job is it is a public service job. That's what it is. And not everybody's suited for it, I gotta be honest. Not everybody wants to serve. If you want to make a lot of money, don't become a firefighter. Really, you should be go to Wall Street or something like that. If you're really looking to be a hero, play pro sports. People, they'll love you until they hate you. But if you want to serve, the fire service is a great place to serve, because I can make the argument that nothing that a local government does is like what the fire and emergency services do. Nothing. Because even so, a lot of people seem to know, they think they know more about law enforcement. But as we're seeing in our country right now, people feel law enforcement is necessary, but they don't often like them. And so I said before, if you want to be a hero, if you want people to like you, be a firefighter. Because they'll like you even when you do dumb stuff. They'll continue to like you. Because people call the fire service, they call emergency services when you need them. Not because you're not going to be in trouble. They don't write the fire marshal might write a ticket every now and then, but for the most part, they're not going to take you away to jail. They're going to take you to the hospital. They're not going to come and kick your door down and, drag your kid off and put you in court and all. They're going to come and drag your kid out of the building that's on fire or do first aid on them. It's a helping kind of thing. And so if you have someone who really, you want to help people for real, you really want to help, that's why the fire service, and that's why honestly, after I got into it, it felt good to be able to help people in the city where I was raised. It really, I would see people out, I've been to people's houses I went to high school with, and it just feels good to be able to give something back to a community, to give something to you. And so that's in terms of, kids and whatnot, I don't believe that parents should try to live their life through their kids, which is the reason why I didn't tell, particularly my youngest sons, you can do whatever you want. I'm about people doing whatever it is they want to do that they feel fulfilled. If this is something, great, but don't limit yourself, period. Don't limit yourself by what you've seen or what you haven't seen. That's what a lot of people do. Well, I haven't seen it, I can't do it. Well, why don't you be the first then? It may be a little harder. You're going to need help. But I honestly believe that we're all created with everything that we need to be successful in our lifetime. It's in there. The challenge is the people around you, whether or not they beat it out of you or not. So that kid who says, I want to be a doctor. And you ain't going to be no doctor. Or I want to be a whatever. There are going to be professions and things that some of these kids are going to do. The job hasn't even been invented yet. It really hasn't. And so I don't think we should look, particularly our black kids. We should not limit them. Whatever it is they think that's in them, whatever they feel that they're good at, help them figure that out. We got to make sure they don't get hurt while they're doing it.
Right.
But what is that thing you wake up and you go, I want to do that. That's what you should do. That thing. So if that's being a firefighter or a police officer or a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is, it's that thing that gets you going, that's probably the thing you should do. Because the thing you're going to be most successful at is the thing you probably do for free. Not the one that's going to make a bunch of money. Because I've had a couple of jobs. Matter of fact, there's 2 jobs that I had that made a lot of money. They're both fire service jobs. And it made the one that made the most amount of money that I've ever made in my entire life was the most miserable. Predominantly because of the people that I work with and how they treated me.
Right.
But it's not about the money, because all money ain't good money.
It ain't good money. You right about that. All money is definitely not good money. Did you hear that? For you money seekers, all money is not good money.
Not good money.
Yeah.
Good money. It's more the peace of mind to feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. Much more important than the money. And it feels good to be able to do something that you feel really good about, regardless of what it makes.
Right.
And then fix your life so you can do that, rather than trying to change your life so you can make more money. It just doesn't work out that way. But that's what I would tell. What do you want to be? Well, be that. I've never seen that before. We'll find out. So that, again, when you get into things that you don't know much about, it's seeking out people who do. It's asking questions. And now, because we do have these little, you get all the information you need about just about anything, just look for it. Just go out and find it. Don't let people tell you what you can't do. Don't let people tell you what you aren't capable of doing. You decide. I heard once that it is not the stories that other people tell about me that matter. It's the ones I tell myself. The ones I believe for myself, that's what matters. Because you can tell yourself that I'm, you know, whatever story you want to tell yourself. And if you tell yourself, I can't do that, well, then you can't. You tell yourself you can, you probably can't. Again, you will likely need assistance because no one of us is going to have ultimate success by ourselves. We're just not. Period.
Well, the old adage is no man is an island, no man stands alone. Each man is our brother. And, you know, being a minister of the gospel, and as Greg Fann, the preacher man as I am, is that one of the things that the Bible teaches us, and it teaches us this, it teaches us to love your neighbor as yourself. And once you love your neighbor, then you will treat your neighbor like you want to be treated. And you will lend out that helping hand to help someone, to bring somebody up and help to encourage them. That's what the old teacher. The old teacher wanted to teach. They wanted the student to be better than them.
Yes.
You know, so what you're saying is, and that's what we need, and we need more of. And David, I want to thank you for just joining me today here on Straight Talk. David Daniel. Right. Boy, he's full of a lot of information in it. And he sure know how to flip those hands. Thank you so much, David, for joining us. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
I do want to add one more point.
Go on.
I'm not sure I totally subscribe to the golden rule.
Okay.
Do unto others as you have them do unto you, because that presupposes we're the same.
Right.
I kind of subscribe to the platinum rule.
Okay.
Which is do unto others as they have done to them.
Okay.
And the only way I'm going to find out what it is you want and need and is important to you is to ask you and to have a relationship with you. And I just assume that because it works for me, it works for you. Because, you know, that is the beautiful diversity of the country and the world that we live in, is that people are different. And, you know, I have to, first of all, learn how to treat myself right and love myself and love what, you know, God made me. But then I have to, you know, love you for who you are and the way you do things. And then when we get together, you know, your strength and my strength makes us all stronger. And so, you know, I just encourage people, we're kind of coming out of this time as a country where we, you know, we've lost a lot of trust in each other. And I think we need to find ways, and I'm going to say rebuild it, because in some regards it was never there.
Right.
We need to be able to reach out to people who are different from us and bring their strength and my strength together so we can all do great things.
You know, I think, David, the point that you just made is we've seen it demonstrated through many demonstrations with Black Lives Matter, with people coming out and, you know, protesting the injustices that's going on and the evil that's going on in our society today. So I certainly agree with that. I think we're on the break of moving toward what you just said, is that seeing our differences and understanding and appreciate our differences. You don't have to totally agree with me. I don't have to totally agree with you, but we can find a commonality on what we can agree on and move forward on that and stop looking so much on what we disagree on and find out what we more alike than what we are more different. So,
preach, Bishop.
Preach. Thank you so much. And listen, I don't know how you can get in touch with David. I don't know if he wants you to get in touch with him, but if you need him, call me, and I'm sure he'll be glad to come and talk to any group of young people, any group of people, just to share and to give them some inspiration, because he is an inspirational speaker. You can tell that, right? Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, folks, here we are. I had to leave Bishop and jump on a quick flight to get over here to be where we are right now. I guess you can see where we are right now. We're at Pennsylvania Avenue, and you can see the truck that's here, but it's a whole lot of stuff that's been put in this place. So this truck ain't gonna be enough to get it out there. You know what, I wanna know something. Bishop wants to know it too. We wanna know, if you could move Trump out of this place behind me, how would you do it? How would you do it? Would you do it fast? Would you do it slow? Would you throw stuff in there? Would you quietly and peacefully and so nicely and gently pack everything up? Or would you just run in there? Will you please let us know? Because we got 65 days and we got to get all this stuff that's out of the people's house. We got to get it out of there. So I want you, this is the new, and you know what this becomes? This moving truck because of what we got to put in it, it automatically becomes, guess what? A trash truck. Absolutely. You got it right. I know you know that. So listen, I want you to email us. Email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com. That's straighttalk1362@gmail.com. Tell us how you would move the current occupant and his family and all of their stuff out of the house. Today, I saw a tweet, and the tweet said, I won the election. The next tweet said, I won the election. Last week, there was a tweet that came out, and it said that the only reason Biden won the election was because he rigged it. He rigged it. It was an unfair election. It was anti the president. It was a scam. Can I tell you something? All of the Republican secretaries of states, including the one here in the state of Georgia, whom they're trying to throw out of office right now, that are in question in terms of having their elections challenged, many of them are Republicans. Guess what they've said? We don't see any problem. But even if they did not say that, the Department of Homeland Security, you know what that is? That is the agency that coordinates all of the security, including the security for the President of the United States of America. That used to be Treasury, but now that's Department of Homeland Security. All of Homeland Security's investigators came back and said, guess what? This has been a fair and free election. We don't have any issues of voter tampering, widespread, any of this, anything systemic. This thing happened because you voted. This thing happened because you went to the polls. This thing happened because you took somebody to the polls. We got 65 days to get all this stuff out of here. And I want you to write us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com and let me know how you would pack this truck up and get this guy and all of his guys and gals out of our house. That's what we got to do. It's time to turn the moving truck into the trash truck. I'm looking for what you have to say, and I'm going to get back with you. We're going to talk about you on the show in a good way. We're going to read your comments and let folk know how you would move him out so we can move somebody else in.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today with Straight Talk. We always love our viewers checking us out, calling us with your comments. People text us with comments, and that's why I was able to make the apology today, as I did earlier today in the program, because, you know, when we're right, we're right. When we're wrong, we're wrong. When we say things that we should correct, then we need to correct them right here on Straight Talk, and that's what Straight Talk is all about. Hey, do tune in next week. More excitement right here on Straight Talk. And if you'd like to be a guest, yes, all you have to do is just email us at straighttalk1362@gmail.com or call 404-308-0795. And we welcome your comment right here on Straight Talk. Until next week, share with your neighbors, share with your friends. It's all about Straight Talk. Until to the Greg Fann, the Preacher Man, and Shannon E. Jones.
Invite your Facebook and social media friends to check us out on Straight Talk with Greg Fann.